You're most welcome to this episode of Bestes. In today's episode, I'll be having a look at the Milo plant-based energy dairy alternative. In the previous episode, I compared these two products, which is the Australia Milo and the Milo that we get in Malaysia. So just as a price comparison, this was 31.90, 31 ringgit 90 cents, and it's for a 395 grams can. The Australian Milo is at the same price point, 31 ringgit 90 cents, for a 460 gram can. So it's slightly heavier than the Milo plant. And the Milo that we get in Malaysia, it's slightly cheaper at 30 ringgit 90 cents for 1.5 kilograms can. So this is 3 times at least in terms of weight compared to these two, for about the same price point, which is just under $8. So on the side of the Milo plant, it says plant-based energy dairy alternative. Compared to the Australian Milo, this has 50% local content, Australia content, and this has 55. So quite equal in terms of Australian ingredient contents. Both have UTZ coca, UTZ certified coca, and yeah, it says vegan friendly on the side here. So some differences, instead of mixing this with the Australian Milo with skim milk, it says mixed with soy milk on the plant-based Milo, and with that it has a glycemic index, GI index of 45 as compared to 40 to 41 with mixed with the skim milk for the Australia Milo. So those are some of the differences. In terms of ingredients, so what did they substitute to make this plant-based? Look at the ingredients, it seems to be soy protein and oat flour that's replaced with the milk that's found in the regular Milo. Yeah, so in terms of nutrition information, let's compare the 100 grams of the plant-based Milo versus the regular Australian Milo. So in terms of calories, this has per 100 grams, this is 370 kilocalories, and this is 400 kilocalories, so slightly less on the plant-based Milo. For the protein, per 100 grams, it's 13.3 grams on the plant-based Milo and 12.3 grams on the regular Milo. So quite surprising that the plant-based Milo has slightly more protein. In terms of fat per 100 grams, this is 1.9 grams versus 9.7 grams on the regular Australian Milo. Quite amazing that the fat content is way low on the plant-based. Carbohydrates, 45.3 grams on plant-based versus 59.5 grams on the Australian Milo. So marvelous. So if you look at the vitamins, they're quite equal. There's zinc listed on the plant-based Milo, but not on the regular Australian Milo. I'm not sure if they're about equal. Surprisingly, vitamin D is equal in these two. I would suppose it's vitamin D2 on the plant-based. Yeah, calcium is slightly more on the plant-based version at 900 milligrams per 100 grams, and this is 130 milligrams per 100 grams. So quite impressive that Nestle made this Milo fairly equal to the regular Milo. Now the instructions are slightly different for these three. To make them equal, I'm going to use the instructions for the Malaysian Milo. I'm going to use 30 grams of the plant-based Milo with 200 ml of water, 30 grams of Milo, Australian Milo, with 200 ml water, and 30 grams of the Milo in Malaysia with 200 ml of water, and let's compare these three products. So what I have here is 30 grams the Milo plant, and 200 ml of warm water. And the first thing I noticed about the Milo plant is that it's darker compared to the regular Milo Australia. I suppose the color is because there's a bit of a lack of milk in this product. And I'm going to mix it with 200 ml of warm water. This is at about 70 degrees. So it looks pretty soluble, no issues dissolving. And I'll mix the 30 grams of the regular Australian Milo into 200 ml of warm water. And I'll mix the Milo that we find in Malaysia, 30 grams warm water as well. So the first impression is that the Australian Milo is not as milky as this two. I could see the light coming through the Australia Milo plant. And there seems to be quite a bit of sediment as well. Doesn't have a milky smell to it. It's a bit of a chocolatey smell, quite similar to the Australian Milo, the regular Australian Milo. And this has a very distinctive milky smell to it, a very chocolatey one as well. And the Malaysian Milo, and as before, it's not as milky smelling and not as chocolatey smelling as the regular Australian Milo, but has a stronger malt, barley malt flavor to it, or barley malt smell to it. First impression of the Milo plant, there's no milky taste at all, which is not surprising. Tastes a bit flat, not too sweet. Yeah, not too strong a cocoa flavor either. And not too creamy. Suppose that's because there's a lack of milk in this. So I'll just compare this to the regular Milo in Australia. Yeah, the Australian Milo has a better mouthfeel. It feels creamier, milkier, more chocolatey as compared to the Milo plant-based. Yeah, the Malaysian Milo, as usual, it's maltier, less milky and less chocolatey. So if I were to give my verdict, I think from a nutritional perspective, it's quite comparable to the regular Australia Milo. In terms of flavor, it falls a bit short compared to the Australia Milo. But I don't think there's much that could be done with it. It's less milky, which is not surprising. Yeah, but I think it could have been a bit more chocolatey to make up for the lack of milkiness. Yeah, but overall, I think it's a good substitute. If you are sensitive to milk, be it lactose intolerance, um, milk allergy, or milk protein intolerance. So if you have any of those, or if you want to have a vegan choice without milk products, yeah, then this is, I think, a credible substitute for the regular Milo, be it from the Australian version of the Milo or the one that we get in Malaysia. So that's my take on the plant-based Milo. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching Investors, and see you soon. Goodbye.